Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price. 2-minute drill on this Friday. Vols head into the weekend, Hubbs, pushing that running game. Got to hear from Jerry Mack today, got to hear from Jalen Wright, Jabari Small. This is a running back room that's far deeper than it has been, and a running back room that features Jalen Wright, who's really starting to progress.
Well, and I think it's a running back room that's got some leadership too. When you talk about, they're deep, they Cam Seldon and some of these young guys that are around, but you talk about Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, both guys have played a lot of football, both of them have leadership skills, and I think both of them have become more vocal in their leadership skills.
Sure.
We've heard about Jalen Wright on the practice field being more vocal, and Jabari Small said today, he's very committed to helping those young guys understand what they need to do in order to be ready when their number's called. But he's ready for his number to be called, and he wants to get hit, Austin. He wants to be ready for the fall.
Yeah, that's one thing Jerry Mack talked about on Friday, was the fact that Jabari Small came to them and said, I need to get hit. I don't want to happen to me what happened to Jalen Wright last year when he missed all fall camp, and then he had those fumbling issues early because he hadn't been hit. So they've had him doing inside, doing some different stuff, where he's going to get popped a little bit. Now, you also run the risk with his injury tendency that he could get dinged up a little bit, but to this point, that has not been the case.
Yeah, and I think that's a great sign of maturity from a guy who witnessed something that happened to Jalen Wright last year, that contact bothered him in games early on until he kind of got his feet under him, and didn't want to see that happen to him. I think that's a sign of maturity, and I think when you look at this running back room, that's the one thing that jumps out at you is maturity. Dylan Sampson's physically more mature, mentally he's gotten more mature, and I don't know that there's been many people on this team this offseason that has changed as much as Jalen Wright's changed.
Yeah, speaking of Dylan Sampson, Jerry Mack did talk about him today, about how it's about picking up the pass protection stuff, but that's something that he loves to put his nose down and do. He just knows he's got to take on those 225, 230-pound linebackers. He's been a bit dinged up in fall camp. Expect him to be back full go, though, next week.
Yeah, I think, they're moving into a game week mode. This kind of wraps up camp tomorrow. You got a light schedule. We wrote this in the war room. This is about getting healthy right now. You want to make sure your football team's healthy when you get to late next week. They won't take chances with some guys. Sampson will get back. He'll get some work in. A couple other guys who've been banged up will get some work in next week as well. And they'll be careful with some of those veteran guys to have them ready to go for the Virginia prep, which will start a week from basically tomorrow officially.
Today was the last viewing period for media for fall camp, which means really until bowl practice coming up in December. Tomorrow, Mike Eckler and the specialists will talk. Brent and the gang will be here. Eric and I will have high school football, as we will have Bearden and West, but they'll have you covered, and we'll have full coverage of everything said today up on Volquest.com. For Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the 2-minute drill.